I want to introduce Jeremy if I can, and then I want to let you guys know that Chris should be calling in any second.
I'm here.
Great. So how's it? Is Chris' voice okay, Scott?
Yeah, sounds good. Everybody sounds very good.
Okay. If I can, I just want to introduce. First, I want to welcome everybody deeply, and I want to do the introduction because what I said a moment ago. By the way, welcome. There's a lot more of you on the line now than before, so I want to welcome you, and it's good to be among the most smartest, creative, innovative people that really, I got to acknowledge us to us because otherwise we're some weirdos, right? We got to be able to acknowledge each other. Can we start waving to each other again, by the way? I missed that. I'm the only one who's doing it, so I want to invite you guys. When you see another Saab, please. So Saab Rizzon, I want to say Saab, I gave him your name as an honorary to knowing Scott 24 years. I guess my life changed in a big way when I discovered my first Saab. And I think more relevant was I met a community of people that, I don't know, I heard of people driving 100 miles to help each other out. I heard of cars that were designed in a way that really was about people. And I think Demi said it the best. He's a Master Saab mechanic in Pennsylvania. I'll say it again what he said. He said that you buy a lot of cars, but very few cars have the soul that Saab has. I met Chris on about 10 years ago. Chris Rizzon is in Vermont in this beautiful little town, Dorset. And it's in a pristine location. And funny enough, many of you guys listening have been to Chris or know the woman I'm buying my 9000 from, which I'm so excited about. I'm getting a 9000 pristine CSC 1997.
Nice.
And she's an absolute sweetheart. She's owned the car 20 years. She told me she's going to cry when it leaves. She calls the car baby. I now call the car baby. I want to say for me, I appreciate all the Saab mechanics around the country. Walter Wong, Demi, that sweetheart in Atlanta. What's her name? Who's the Atlanta connection?
Shelley Baxter.
Yeah. Shelley Baxter is just wonderful. All these people that you go there and it's like you're home. I don't mean to make this a church service, but I'm inspired. So Chris Rizzon has really been the whole Saab community for me. I go up there, and what I say to people is he knows these cars. And before I sell someone a car, before I go pass a car on, I make them promise to work with only a Saab master mechanic. Please don't bring it to Jiffy Lube. Please don't bring it to regular people because they don't get it. And when they start to get it, I say to them, like this guy's buying my car. I'm selling my 95 2000. He said, yeah, I'm just going to bring it to Chris. I sent someone from New York to Chris, and he said to me, thank you. And he goes, we get to go to Vermont. Chris charged us less. He did an amazing job. So, Chris, thanks for being a family member and always showing up. No matter what happens with my car, I know I can send it to Chris. And after a long, beautiful walk in Vermont, Chris has my car done. So thank you, Chris. Let's open up the lines in terms of questions. I want to thank Jeremy. So Jeremy is a Master Saab mechanic for, I think, about 20 years now, Jeremy?
No, about 15 years now.
Okay, I bonused you 5 being a Saab master mechanic in these turbulent times.
Yeah.
So what Jeremy does, go ahead.
I work for a company called Pearce out here, Santa Cruz, California. Specialize in Saab and European vehicles. And then started my own powder coating business and kind of just started powder coating friends' parts, and it took off. So now I gave up wrenching, except for on my own cars and friends' cars, and own a successful powder coat business out here. So it's kind
because I was so ignorant. Tell people I had no idea what that was. Please explain it. What is powder coating?
So powder coating is an industrial way of painting metal parts. You apply a dry powder, and then you actually bake it in an oven so it bonds to the metal. And it's come a long way in the last 20 years as far as color options. There's over 6,500 color options. So anything you can think of, if you want neon green with sparkles, we can do it. So as far as like customizing cars, it's pretty neat. And we also do high temp exhaust coatings too. So a lot of turbo housings, exhaust manifolds, whole exhaust systems. Our ceramic can handle up to 2,000 degrees. So we're bringing these Saabs back to life, but we're actually making them stand out from the crowd with custom colors, and painted brake calipers, and you name it. It's pretty cool.
So I want to say to you guys, I don't even let Scott know about this. It just happened Friday. I'm forming a partnership with a car transporter company with amazing integrity. We had a good meeting on Friday. In a little bit, you're going to hear about the car that I'm offering under what I call my Swedish Gold part of the format. And this is where I find cars. The car we'll be talking about today has 2,000 miles on it, or the new engine, totally redone. It's a 1995 Saab Arrow, 5-speed manual.
9,000.
And this will be a segment. It's a 9. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Scott. Yes, thank you, Scott. It's a 9,000 manual in beautiful, pristine condition.
And what year is
and,
it?
And 19. Well, it's a 1995.
95. And it's red. A Muller red.
So if you haven't gotten married yet, this is the car, right? That's what we're thinking, Jeremy, right?
It's pretty sought after 9,000. I mean, it's
okay.
It's really, really fun to drive. Yeah.
Now, what also Jeremy told us, this is new, Scott. So what we have here with Jeremy is, let's say you want a Vegan or something, or you want an SVG. We can have the car sent to Jeremy, and he'll redo that car to your specs. And this is going to be part of our new service we have in terms of also we have the transporter. So what I want to do now is, God, I'm so excited to hear your questions, your experience. And I know some of you waited to talk to Chris for a while. And Chris is going to be a regular contributor. He's on the inside. I see Chris every 3 months. I recommend everybody to Chris on the East Coast. And if you guys want any recommendations, I'm very happy to do that. There's some many fine Master Saab mechanics on SaabNet. So, Scott, let's open up the conversation. I'd love to hear people introduce themselves and their questions. And if you want to add anything, please, Scott.
Sure, of course. I don't know. It might be fun, real quick, although we I don't know if we can do that. There's 19 participants that we have on the phone right now. I don't know if we can go through all of these. Why don't we move ahead and do you want to start with Q&A? Do people have questions for the Saab Master Techs, or did you have
say your name and say your car or cars, please. Introduce yourself, please, and then ask your question and welcome.
Let's start with Clarence. What do you have for your?
Oh, well, I've got 3 generations. Hi, how you doing?
How you doing? Good hearing. Glad you're on the call.
Thank you for having us. This is pretty awesome. I got 3 generations. I've got a couple 99s that I'm looking to restore, and I have 2 commemorative edition 900s, and I have 1 new generation 900 that is my daily driver. I'm very interested in what you were saying about what Scott's services are going to provide. I would love to take advantage of something like that in some of the work that I can't do with my older vehicles. If that's possible.
I'd be glad to. I'm going to post all this. A lot of exciting stuff is happening. I decided, honestly, how this happened was I thought about working with another renowned German company and funding the show. But the more that I got into it, the more I had my incredible conversations with Scott and Chris, I realized, what the heck? I have a one-of-a-kind thing. And when I talked to Jeremy and some other people, I thought, I want to be the #1 source for restoring these amazing one-of-a-kind cars, endorsing them by Master Saab Mechanics, and getting them custom made. So thank you, Clarence. I'm going to have all this up on SaabNet.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome.
Let's move on. I don't want to hold.
Yeah,
everybody.
I don't know if we have time to go through all 19 people.
Okay. What about burning? Why don't we take burning questions? What's your question?
I've got a burning question. Can you guys hear me? It's Al in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Yes, Al. We hear you.
Okay, real quickly. So I've owned about eight 900s, classic 900s, either automatic or 5-speed. I've got an 89 900 right now that I bought it's a California car, so it doesn't have any rust. The interior is trash, but there's 2 things that have been driving me nuts. And basically it comes down to timing. So I replaced the head gasket a couple of months ago. And I've done this on 3 or 4 of the cars, but for some reason this time, I struggled getting the marks aligned on the cam caps, or going through the rollers and the Townsend perpendicular to the head marks, all of that, very meticulous about the detail and looking at it. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I'm getting a bounce on the timing mark that I've got set at 16. It's not staying put. And the car it doesn't have that amazingly smooth, perfect sewing machine sound to it. It sounds like it's just a little bit off, and I just can't figure out what it is. If it's the Hall sensor, I've checked so many different things, and I just wanted everybody's feedback on that, and what their thoughts are.
Let's go to Chris. Chris, you hear the question? Okay, Chris.
Yeah, I heard
Beautiful.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about when you're doing a timing change, what you want to have is if the marks don't line up right, you want to have them slightly retarded.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I did, and I had the rollers and all that, and the chain was at 12, so I thought that was okay.
Okay.
On
So
the
I mean, if that's done right, then it should run pretty smooth unless you have some other problem. But you say the timing mark is bouncing around?
There's a little bit of a bounce, and then the car, again, all the 900s I've had, normally they're sewing machine when they're right on.
Right.
And so the only thing I can think of is I'm off a tooth, but I looked at it over and over again, and I could be. I just don't.
Yeah.
Everything else I've checked, and then Dan Howe in Kansas, I talked to him a lot, and he thought maybe hall sensor issue, but like anything, it could be a million things.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a hall sensor. It's possible.
Oh, and the other follow-up question on that is, who is out there rebuilding these distributors? I can't find anybody that is doing it.
Yeah, that I don't know. I haven't.
Jeremy?
I don't know either. I don't know either.
Okay. Scott?
I was thinking on that timing thing, though, did you line up the mark on the flywheel?
I did, and I've done 3 or 4 of them, and for some reason this time, both marks in the past have been, I guess you said retarded, slightly behind the mark on the cap.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for this time it was, I mean, I played with it for hours, guys, moving the chain, moving, one tooth, the whole thing, the timing mark. It just, I couldn't get them both perfectly retarded, slightly behind the mark. One was there and one was maybe a millimeter off. But I didn't think that would make a difference. Anyway, I don't want to eat up all the time.
7.5 links in between the 2 sprockets.
I thought it was 13 rollers is what, no?
Yeah, that could be. I usually do 7.5 links.
Yeah, I followed everything on, and I went off at, the Townsend information says to really not get carried away with the marks on the cap, but to focus on the sprocket marks being perpendicular to the head. That was another thing I wanted your opinion on.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't always come out right either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know there's no perfect answer. It's just driving me crazy because I've done this before.
I would drop the one that's lined up. I would drop that back a tooth and see what that does.
Yeah, and
it still doesn't explain the timing mark jumping around though, because even if it was off a tooth, it's not going to cause the timing to go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's just going to be off.
Yeah.
Well, and if it is a hall sensor, I've switched out. Well, actually, I've switched out several distributors. I'm always going to the junkyard. The minute a 900 shows up here in Indy, I'm there, taking what I need just to keep an inventory. But I've switched them around. I'm still getting the bounce. It's not a game changer. Oh, the other thing I'm getting is knock on boost. I'm getting some boost, but I'm getting knock. And that's a whole other thing. But I don't want to take up everybody's time.
No, we might come back. We might come back to you. So let's do this. By the way, I want to let you guys know you're listening to the Saab Travel Show. I'm Glenn Brooks. I've been doing this about 24 years. Scott Rizzon's here from Rizzon Saab, from Dorset, Vermont, who I've worked with for 10 years. Been doing this, well, I said 24 years, and I'm just loving it more. Along with Scott Paterson, the owner and founder of SaabNet. Okay, what's your next burning question? Welcome.
Anybody?
Anybody?
Yeah, here, Paul in Buffalo. I have a 2000 Vigan convertible, and I had to have the cylinders rebuilt because they were leaky. Put them back in last summer, and or put them in the way, took them out, and I'm having an issue where as soon as the 5th bow goes to move, that cylinder goes to move, it goes into error and won't proceed. And then I have to manually move the top from there and in. The function to deploy the rest of it goes out, comes back, not an issue, but always when that 5th bow goes to move, it instantly goes into error, check your soft top, and it won't activate the tonneau locks to pull the cover fully down and finish the cycle. I checked the micro switch of the 5th bow. It seems to be working fine. That's as far as I've gotten with it. I'm kind of wondering if anybody has any ideas of what's my next step.
All right, let's go to Master Saab Mechanic Chris Rizzon, official host and my mechanic. And as a human being, you couldn't get any finer. Chris, any comment, any thoughts on this?
I mean, usually there is a problem with the micro switch when you run into something like that. It times out, but it's pretty hard to diagnose that without the tech too.
Yep.
I had a feeling you might say that. I don't have one of those.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it's a real pain because you can't really see what's going on. You know, you can't see what the computer's seeing.
Right.
You know, so it's.
So I need to find a mechanic with a Tech 2 program with the Saab.
Yeah, with the Saab software.
Well, about that, finding someone with a Tech 2. Besides mechanics, there's a new feature in the last year on the Saab network. It's called the Saab Buddy Registry, and there are. It actually came. This whole buddy registry came about a long time ago on the bulletin board, where we just had a thread where people would list their information if they were initially just available. If a Sauber was traveling, driving, say cross country or wherever across the state, and they had trouble and they needed help, the buddy registry is there for local Saubers who are available to help anybody coming, passing through. And I turned it into a full-on database. And people register themselves now. And besides just being available for people who are passing by, some owners with Tech 2s, there's a field there where they can list themselves. And there's quite a number of Saab owners who own Tech 2s themselves and are available to help other Saabers. And then also they're available to help. There's another field where people can list themselves available to look at local Saabs for Saabers who are not local. So if they're considering purchasing a Saab in a particular area, they can see if there is a local Sauber registered in the buddy registry who is willing to go look at that car for them. So that's at you can find it on saabnet.com on the page, or you can go to buddy.saabnet.com, and you can also register yourself if you're available to help people. It's also for Saabers who are available to help wrench with with less experienced Saabers in the area. Can help them out with stuff. Thanks.
Now, if you go to saabnet.com, last time Chris was on a few months ago, I had a graphic artist do a painting or picture of what it's like to be at Chris's place. I call Chris's the Saab barbershop. I have some of the most amazing discussions there. I want to encourage you. I'm going to encourage people. We're going to have some meetings at Chris's place. So if you want to come down from Buffalo, I just drove up there. I drive 2.5 hours, and it's one of the most beautiful drives. So I want to encourage you to. I could personally endorse Chris. He's great, and I'm also willing to recommend other people. Just to let you guys know, and I also think it's great to get together. I've some of the most wonderful conversations at Chris's, and meet people who are driving hours because they have SPGs and they bring them there. And so just let you know, it's a little bit of a community, a wonderful community resource. And please look at the picture of the Saab Barbershop, Rizzon Saab Barbershop picture on Saabnet. Okay, I'm ready for your next question or comment. Anything that you want to bring up right now for Master Saab Mechanic Chris Rizzon here in the Saab and Travel Show. I'm Glenn Brooks here with you guys, with Scott Paterson.
Yeah, this is Dick Maley out in Fairfax, Virginia.
Hi, Dick.
I'd like to thank Scott, first of all, for helping me out with my recent renewal on my 94 commemorative edition. He got some drop-down photos for me off of the main photo on the ad. Was unable to figure that out. I thought I was literate with the computer, but apparently not. I have a question on a 1971 Sonnet. I don't have it, but I'm looking at it, and every day goes by, I can see another problem. I'm wondering if I ought to just leave something like that alone, not being able to have a place to work, and all the gear that goes with bringing something like that back alive. Now, the thing runs. It's been the upholstery on the inside has been done. Of course, it's a fiberglass body, so that's in perfect shape. I've got a guy that'll do all the welding underneath. I had the guy send me some pictures. It needs both of the rockers handled, da-da-da-da-da. So my question is, what's the main thing, and am I going to have a problem with parts?
Well, I mean, the floor pan on those cars is the big thing that they, with the rust. As far as parts go, I don't really deal with too many of them around here because most of them have rusted out. But there are parts available. I think you have to search for them a little bit.
I look. Somebody says check Amazon. I'm thinking check Amazon. Okay, so I do. You can literally build a Sonnet with the Amazon part.
Really?
It's incredible. I mean, now you can't. I mean, you can get the brakes and the suspension, the tie rod ends, and all of the stuff like that. And I don't know, but obviously the motor and all that are going to be a whole different program. But you'd be surprised the number of parts that Mr. Bezos has in drawers there. So it's amazing. But anyway, the guy only wants $3,000 for the thing, and it's in, like I say, it runs.
Yeah.
The deal breaker is that it's up in northern Pennsylvania. It's a couple 100 miles from me. Obviously, it's not roadworthy, so I need a tow truck, and it's $2 a mile. That's $800. That's the deal breaker for me. So,
by the way, Dick, so check back. I'm going to have a price with a transporter. I'm going to do my best to make this very affordable so we can move these Saabs around. I'm going to see what I can do. I'm meeting with them again. So check in. I'm going to put something up on SaabNet about. We're going to call this segment Swedish Gold, and I'm going to do my best so that price won't screen us out of getting these amazing cars around the country. So I'll see if I can get a better price than that and have a very high quality transporter at hand.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say to people, and before we take our next question, that I have built my community of such, almost like a family of very close friends from SaabNet. So I want to plug SaabNet.com as being, it's been my number one source. I've developed relationships, friends, people come to visit me. I visited them. I referred one guy to Chris Rizzon, our Master Saab mechanic, our co-host. And he used to call me. He went to Chris's and got his head gasket done. He said it was an incredible vacation in Vermont with his family and great work, and he loved meeting Chris. The woman I'm buying my 9000 from lived in the next town over from Chris, drove by there hundreds of times, and said she always wanted to come by and see you, Chris. So I just want a shout out from Kathy. What else was I going to say? Oh, I guess my question, Chris. You know what I did? I read all the reviews I could on the Saab 9000 1997. And you, Dick, I think you brought up the question about the Sonnet, about parts.
Yeah.
Say something about the 9000. The reviews are off the charts. People say that. I talked to a BMW mechanic, and he said he's a BMW mechanic. The 9000 was one of the greatest mechanical cars. He said it was a 10, a 1 to 10, a 10 every time.
Yeah. No,
what about that car?
They're really nice cars. They were they're not too big on the outside, but they're quite large on the inside. They handle really well. They were developed with Alfa Romeo. So that and Fiat.
Wow.
So they handle really well. I owned a couple of them.
The seats in those things are awesome.
I really like them. Yeah.
What did you say, Jeremy?
The seat in the Aero.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're getting a big Saab hug when you sit in one of those.
Oh shit! Yeah, seats are real nice.
That's going to be coming up. We're going to have a segment on the golden Saabs. We're going to talk about a one-of-a-kind Aero. I'm loving your questions. I'm loving this conversation because I'm learning. It's a learning curve. What's your next question? What's something you want to ask Chris, Master Saab mechanic, Chris Rizzon in Vermont?
Yeah, I have
what's your question? Go ahead, please, Scott.
This is a topic that comes up over and over again, and I would really love to get hear what Chris and what Jeremy how they feel about this particular topic.
Great.
And which cars it might affect, but it's I know Dick just mentioned the availability of Sonnet parts on Amazon, and I personally I have a 73 Sonnet 3. My wife has a 93X wagon. I was gonna mash it around a bit. 2010, and I have a 2005 92X Aero. But just the question is, how hard is it to get parts for these cars now? And what does Oreo supply? And are there any particular models that are actually hard to get parts for, because I keep hearing that it's not hard to get parts except for maybe the NG, the new generation 9.5, where there are some parts that are hard to get. It was only produced for a couple of years. So any comments on that would be great.
Great question.
From my personal experience, just building this recent 9000, I was able to get anything and everything I needed from, e-Euro parts or online. And I took the motor all the way down to the piston rings. Every bearing was replaced, timing chain, guides, all that stuff. There's turbos out there. I didn't have a problem getting parts at all for the 9000. I have a couple classic 900s. The only thing I couldn't find was a new thrust bearing, but I ended up finding it just on eBay from someone who had some new old stock. So I haven't had any problems.
By the way, Scott, I'm glad you asked that, because I talked to many Master Saab mechanics around the country, and that was, some people said, yes, it's a problem. Other people said, no, it's not a problem at all. So I've heard mixed reviews. So Jeremy, what you just said was, first of all, I'm really happy to hear that. Chris, what's your take? What's the scoop on parts on your end of things?
I mean, the one thing I ran into a problem, I couldn't get wheel sensors for a 9000. I was able to get one. But trying to get used ones around here is a problem, because they get corroded in, and you can't get them out without breaking them. So I mean, that's just one thing. I mean, with the 9000, most of the parts are available, but there are some parts that I guess they could become available if there's enough demand. But for this guy with his ABS, I couldn't fix it for him because I couldn't get the sensors.
Hey Chris, what model Saabs what's the range of models that you work with up there at Rizzon Saab?
It's mostly the newer ones. I mean, there's people with the classic 900s. People that didn't drive them in the winter, they're still around. A lot of convertibles, and then there's some new generation 900s, and then the classic 93s, and then a lot of 95s. Very few 9000s. There's not that many of them left around here. And then the new 93s and some of the new 95s.
So what I'm hearing from you is not really a problem for you to get parts for the cars you guys fix.
No, for the most part, no. I mean, sometimes stuff goes on back order, but it's usually available after a while. Like I said, the last problem I had was like for the 9000, I couldn't get the wheel sensors, which, I mean, doesn't make the car undrivable. It's just that you don't have ABS.
How about for the Vigans?
The Vigans?
How about the jack plug for the Vigans?
Oh yeah, that you can't get anymore. Yeah,
that's like stealing the hood ornament off a Cadillac. I mean, do they just take them or what? Every Vigan I see around here has got at least two missing. Or do they just fall out?
Someone that was 3D printing those.
Yeah, they're available now. I've seen a number of people who are 3D printing them and selling them.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's good to know. Yeah, because the guy that works with me does body work, and he actually made some for one of my customers.
I saw a guy on eBay had for the 99, the electric blue hatchback. They had both rocker panels and 3 of the jack plugs for like $150. I was going to buy them, and I don't even have a Vigan.
Yeah, really. I never heard of them.
All right, more questions. And then we're going to get into our Swedish Gold segment. We're going to talk about the car of the day. So Jerry Martin's not just he's a partner. He's becoming an advisor to the series. And he's the gentleman that I said will custom design cars and send them back to you. So now with this partnership with the transporter, I can guarantee you we have a transporter with integrity and good prices. I'll be announcing that within the next week. So questions, any more questions or comments? And also, Jeremy, could you send parts to Chris if like wheel sensors for the 9000? Is that something you have available?
Sure. I had a 9000 Aero parts car that we just sent to the scrapyard, but we pulled almost everything off of it. So yeah, Chris, if you ever need parts, hit us up. We have a whole upstairs, probably 4 or 5 Saabs completely parted out up there.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's what I want to see happen. I want I want to make this more omni-available because, again, as I said in the beginning of the Saab Travel show, I just think the value for Saab, the investment is off the charts. You know, I attempted to work with another Swedish car company, and I was really unimpressed. So I was also the travel journalist for Mercedes-Benz magazine, and I just love these cars more than ever. And I want to make the parts. I love what just happened with Chris and Jeremy, because I think that the more we let people know the parts are available, and the more we really emphasize Saab mechanics, and you can see a lot of Master Saab mechanics. And if you want a reference for a Saab mechanic, also call me at 413-345-3747. 413-345-3747. If you want a customized vegan, an SPG, spec'd out, Jeremy could do it. And in a few moments, we're going to get into the Swedish Gold. We're going to get into the 1995 Arrow with 2,000 miles. Jeremy rebuilt that car totally. And he's going to share all the things he did and what makes this car. And you can actually buy this car. I'm going to offer it up today, and I'll be able to transport it to you. And you'll be able to be part of this ongoing series and stories of people doing this. That's one of a kind.
I've got a question on for Chris and Jeremy on the interiors of these cars, especially the convertibles that are being baked out west. Because of the heat, the seats are all coming apart. We all face that battle. What do you do locally or nationally to either address repair that or replacement of the leather and the carpet? If I can't find anybody that's redone the molds for the carpet, I'm assuming that it's not even an option other than to pull it out of an old car.
Can you let me know who just asked that question?
Yeah, say your name.
Al Elskis in Indianapolis.
Beautiful. Thanks, Al.
So I actually redid the seats in that 9000 Aero. There's a company out there called L Seat.
Oh, was that the one that's on eBay too?
And man, they sent me some Aero skin replacements that were an exact match of the factory skins. And they'll even send you out a color matching leather sample piece, and the color was dead on. So the only downside to that company is that it took probably about 6 weeks to get my skins, but they did show up. It's $300 for the two fronts, and they have rears as well. So that worked out pretty good for me.
Would they have it for the convertible? I think I've looked at it. I think I've actually seen it, but
you were on L Seat?
Yeah, and then so did you actually do the reupholster or recovering yourself, or did you take it to a?
No, I took it to a upholstery shop. They charged me $300 more to take the old ones off, put the new ones on.
Yeah, that seems really reasonable. I've gotten quotes on the interior of $3,000 or $4,000 to have it done.
Whoa!
It's like ridiculous, the leather at these custom shops. So, but the carpeting is a no option for us, right? It's just trying to find an old 89 or 88 or 87. I don't know if those are all three compatible, where the carpet isn't worn to hell like mine. Is that the only option?
So I'm actually on their website right now, and they do offer the seats for the 90 to 93 convertible 900s.
Well, this is an 89, so would I have a compatibility problem? Well, that's okay. You know what? I just was like, gosh, there's got to be somebody out there that that's doing it. But it's kind of like trying to find a rebuilt distributor. It's the same struggle. I just can't find it. So it's fine.
They got a lot of options on that site.
So for that distributor, Clarence texted me on the computer interface. He mentioned advanceddistributors.com.
Yeah, I'm going to post I'm going to post my notes on this meeting on the general bulletin board. It has that listed in there. So.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Wonderful, because I just can't find any, and I want to make sure that inner seal is replaced as well as the hall sensor. You would assume that on a rebuild, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with. I'm going to have them rebuild one of my older ones, my older Lucas distributors, and see how that comes back.
Yeah, I just mentioned real quick. Clarence mentioned the general bulletin board on Saab Network. Yeah, it's a great bulletin board. We have a lot of fun discussing a lot of different things. There's a model bulletin board for each of the different Saab models. But yeah, if you're here from Facebook or you're not on the SaabNet site, come visit the general bulletin board. You do not need to register for an account. You don't have to be a full site member. You can just begin participating by choosing a username. You don't have to sign up. You just fill in the name that you want to have your post under, or leave it blank even, and write up your post and just click submit. You don't have to go through any kind of registration to start using the site. It's available and free to everyone. And we have a lot of fun bantering about both Saab topics and even sometimes non-Saab topics. So please come over and check out the general board on SaabNet.
Yeah, I love all Scott's resources. I love SaabNet. The quality of people's off the charts, the resource, the community. All right, my obscure Saab fact of the day. I just read this. It sounds like an article in Onion News. It sounds comical, but it turned out to be true. So here's the obscure thing. And I want to say, when I talked to Jeremy, he owns 4 or 5 Saabs. He'll never go with another car. So my intention is to keep building this community. Now, here's the obscure Saab fact. So why would it be that Saab, in fact, has the safest car ever? Why would it be? What did they do differently? How do they know the impact of crashes? What made them different than every other company? Well, according to Saab Planet, and again, if you guys think this is a joke, I don't know. They stated this is actually true. I know it's going to sound funny, that they did not use dummies in the early days, that they pulled GM aside. What they did use, this is how funny, they used dead people. They used cadavers because they were able to discern injury and impact differently. Their commitment was so off the charts. Jeremy told me he was in a head-on collision, an SPG, head-on collision, no airbags back then. He walked out of the car with a scratch. Something's different about these cars. There's something here that's so stickable and so current. This next segment we're going to do on Swedish Gold is going to feature not just the 1995 Arrow. I want to get your comments, Chris. Chris Rizzon. Okay, great. All right, so go ahead, Jeremy. He's an advisor, and also he's going to customize the cars for this segment. And by the way, if you owe anything that I share with you, I stand behind anything I say. You could go to another Saab mechanic, a master, and have them look at this. Anything that I share with you, I want you to feel that the intent, because the whole thing about the segment, I'm not just trying to sell cars. This is a way of life. I love the conversation and community we have. So I'm working with Jeremy, and of course, I totally appreciate. I wouldn't be driving a Saab wasn't for Chris. Because the thing that I see happens with, unfortunately, is people bring these cars to a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing. I've checked out Saab mechanics all across the East Coast. I ran into a limp mode problem with a 9000. 4 Saab mechanics told me to get rid of the car. I had it towed to especially Swedish, right outside of out of Woodstock, Socrates. He fixed it for $65, Michael. He called me and said it's all done, especially Swedish. So what I want you guys to know is that we're all learning from each other. Like the exchange that Jeremy said he has parts for the 9000. We need to put out that message that these cars the value is off the charts. And so this is what I wanted to communicate and make available to you in this segment on Swedish Gold. So here we go. Jeremy, your car looks stunning. Red, customized. What did you do to make this car so different? Let people in, because one of the things I love doing is exploring with people about what makes their cars, what makes their cars their art piece, their love. What and you have something that caught my attention, and here we are. Tell us about that car. Tell us about the 95.
Well, I've always been attracted to the very red, all red, very rare red 9000 Arrow. So when I bought the car, it actually had a bad engine in it. So we had a spare motor here that we completely tore down and put new piston rings, had the block machined, all new bearings. We went ahead and deleted the balance shaft chain, which adds a little reliability and actually makes the motor rev up a little bit faster. You get a little bit of horsepower from it. But what sets it apart is just every single part was cleaned and either painted or powder coated. So all the way down to the brake calipers, the backing plates behind the rotors are red, so you get a little color behind the wheel. The motor, when you pop the hood, is just flawless. There's no leaks whatsoever. The turbo's brand new. Anything that this car needed, we replaced. So it's almost like you're buying a new Saab, running wise. So yeah, we did a ton of, got a ton of man hours into it. We've done some performance goodies on it too. We did a stage 2 ECU tune. It's got a brand new full 3-inch exhaust system, cross-drilled and slotted rotors and performance brake pads. So every hose, every belt, every gasket, every seal that it needed was replaced.
I want to say that, I want to say, what do I want to say? Dang, it was just, I know what it was. Our friend who's in some temporary retirement, who's been one of my most significant connections on the West Coast, Walter Wong, said to me, if I had a magic wand, I would have a 9,000 platform where I could build these incredible cars again. So when I read about Jeremy's car, I knew it was a Swedish Gold car. The cost is $12,000 for this car, and I will get you that one-of-a-kind transporting price. And I'm just about to announce that by the end of next week, we'll have a partnership. Now, what I'm curious about, and Chris, I want to get your comments or questions. Chris Rizzon, Master Saab Mechanic in Dorset, Vermont. Highly recommended. What are you guys curious about? Are there any questions you have about this 9,000? Or you want to ask Jeremy what's anything that's bubbling? Any questions around the 9,000? Arrow.
It sounds really impressive to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the interior's been redone too, the seats and stuff. Yeah.
The back seats were fine. We ended up putting the new skins on the front seat.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a couple little flaws with it. The dashboard has a crack, which is really, really common on those.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to find a crack-free dash top, but I've seen them on eBay for not too much, and it's not too bad to actually replace just that top piece.
Yeah.
So if I find one, I may snatch it up and grab and put it on. But as of right now, we've got so many man hours into this car and quite a bit of money. So I'm just trying to sell it and put some money into one of my other cars.
If you guys want to call me, and I'll connect you with Jeremy. Again, it's $12,000, and I'll give you a very good rate with a transport company. And then I want you to tell your story. What is it like to have kind of this retro Saab and near and pristine condition? And if you have any questions in general about the service of getting an SPG or a Vegan all tuned up and spec'd and, beautified to your specs, call me. Call me at it's Glenn Brooks, Saab Travel, Swedish Gold at 413-345-3747. 413-345-3747. I'll post something about this service, and I'll talk about it again in our next format. Chris, any additional comments you want to share with people from? I know Scott asked you about who you're servicing. I met a guy at the shop last week. He's got a garage pristine 9,000. He can't wait to take out in the spring. Any comments about keeping the older Saabs in good repair? A lot of people ask me that. How do you keep these cars going? Because and I want you to also comment, do you have any concerns if someone like my car is going to have just under 170,000 miles? Is there any discernment things you want to? Well, the first question is, how do you keep these things in really good shape to go to 300,000 miles? And then two, do you have any things that you would look for in an older car that you want to recommend people paying attention to? Chris.
Well, it depends on, a lot of the cars around here that, 9,000s, classic 900s, they don't get driven all the time. So,
right.
I mean, they're off the road for, 4 or 5 months at a time.
Yes.
And with cars that sit around a lot, it's important to, use some kind of stabilizer in the gas. The brake fluid has to be changed. Stuff like that, just to, to keep everything, from having problems. For a car that's driven every day, you don't have to worry about that stuff. But like I say, the cars that were driven every day around here, there's not too many of those left because of the salt and stuff they use on the roads. kind of.
Is it enough to drive it once a week, Chris? Is it enough to drive it periodically?
I would, the cars that I have a 93 convertible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just put some stabilizer in it. I take the battery out, and I don't start it all winter. And I think you're actually better off because you can't really drive it without getting it covered with salt. And just running it for a short time, I think, does it more harm than good, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I've had good luck doing that kind of stuff. Other than that, it's just your regular maintenance. Hoses, belts, whatever goes wrong. As far as
you use some good quality synthetic.
Jeremy, go ahead. What'd you say?
Just oil changes are really important on these cars since it runs through the turbo.
And good oil too.
So spend the extra money and get that good synthetic oil.
Yeah.
Scott, did you want to share anything? And again, I'll give you my number before we get off. I'll give you my number. If you want to have a car customized, we'll make the connection with Jeremy as part of our Swedish Gold. Scott, anything you want to share?
We have over 20 people on the chat, and I actually have a problem with my Sonnet. It's 1973 Saab Sonnet 3. So on the back of the car where the tail lights are, the way that the lights work is that those bulbs, you push them in and they push against a pressure plate. And, the car's, 40 years old, 45 years old. And those pressure plates that would normally push against and make contact with the base of the bulb have become so weak over all this time that they don't push back against the bulb. And so what I've got in there is folded up aluminum foil to make the gap and make the bulb end longer so that it pushes against that post. And short of going on the web or Amazon and finding a whole replacement assembly that has new posts, if I can even find it, does anybody have any other better ideas than aluminum foil, or or have I got the only good idea short of buying those new assemblies?
Didn't they use 99 lights on those things? 99.
I haven't worked on a 99, but I know the covers to the lights look identical.
Yeah.
They're identical. They use the same inner and outer and the chrome ring. It's all the same.
Great. So there's another. I can look at those models for sources of parts too.
But the 99s are the same age. They're all worn out. I've got three actually. I've got 3 early 99s, 269s, and a 70. And the same thing. I've been considering just soldering them together, buying LED bulbs so they have long life, and just make a soldered connection.
I did try soldering. I'm not an experienced soldering person, so it didn't work too well for me. But I could try that again if I maybe read up on how to do it right. All right, thank you.
Any other questions, you guys? And then any other questions or comments or anything, before we get off? And I'll give you my number about the Swedish Gold connection, about customizing, and also if you're interested in the 1995 pristine Saab Arrow, 1995 9000.
Maybe a general question to Larry over at Cape Cod. Yeah.
Thanks, Larry. Welcome.
All right. Thank you. I am a 5-time repeat offender in the Saab department. Most recently with a 2007 9.3 convertible with stick shift, the anniversary edition. And just kind of the question is that, as I went through from the original to the generation after that, and then this one, they kind of got away from that Saab spirit a little. I mean, I still love the thing, and I may in fact wind up keeping it forever. But the question I would pose to the group, and especially the folks who are interested in making the master mechanics who make these things as good as they can be.
Yeah.
If I were to trade for some other Saab, the criteria being stick shift and convertible, which model year and I guess tier of features do you think is the best the genre has to offer? What should I go out there looking for?
Chris? Start with Chris.
So your 9.3 is that a 4-cylinder?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean the arrows are pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean if you like that car. Otherwise, I like the classic 900s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to say is, I mean, will I see I'm a stick shift guy, which kind of, you know, as I watch all the ads on Scott's website, that kind of cuts down your options, it seems, especially in the later models, you know. So, I mean, that's an issue. But, I mean, if I move into an Aero with a stick of a similar vintage, am I going to notice a big difference?
Power-wise, yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's something to look for. I mean, if this thing, were to vanish tomorrow, which sadly I lost 2 of these over the years in water damage. 2 of them drowned. And if something were to happen to this one, I think I'd go out and shop for something very similar, which is what happened last time, actually. The car drowned. I test drove a bunch of things, decided I loved it, and went on and got the same thing a few years newer. So, all right, I will keep my eye out for arrows, I guess.
Thanks for calling from Cape Cod, the legendary Cape Cod.
Legendary, huh?
Well, a lot of people go there. A lot of people, that's their summer destination is Cape Cod from all around the country.
All right, well, I'll need to get onto the buddy list then, and maybe say hello to somebody when they come up here.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Larry, I was there last summer in August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is Paul in Buffalo. I own a 2007 9.3 Aero that's been tuned, and I can definitely attest to the fact that a tuned 6-cylinder Aero is plenty fast.
Okay, well, I just need to find one then.
Not a convertible, though.
Okay.
But a question, if I may. With that particular car, my son has convinced me, because he owns a 2014 Camaro 8-cylinder, to go and take it to the track once or twice a year. And I tried that last year, and I'm looking at doing some improvements, changed the brake lines on it, done some other things additional to the car. My question refers to brake pads. Any opinions about performance brake pads?
Great question.
For the once or twice a year, I might take it on the track, or do I buy fancy brake pads and change them out for track day and go back to standard brake pad? Now it is an Aero. It has the 314 millimeter rotors. They're slotted and drilled, so they're set for performance. But one thing I noticed my track day last summer is I definitely had a little fade in the pads that I had.
Chris?
I mean, I don't really know. I don't really do that much with track stuff, but one thing that you want to make sure is you have good brake fluid in there, because that can make the brakes fade too.
Racing fluid.
Yeah, so you might want to change the fluid before your next track day.
Oh, I changed it. I changed it prior to that day, and I put in
well,
a
that's
600
good.
modal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that the certain brake fluids can handle different temperature ratings. So if you're going to be pushing it on the track, you want to get like a racing type of brake fluid, because it will fade and boil. Seen it happen.
Now I'm going to be sending to Chris. Someone just contacted me after this big auto show. There's some brake pads. Well, one of the things I want to say that Walter Wong, The Right Solution, LA, he said on the format I did with Scott, he thought that was one of the most significant investments, was to have spend your money on high quality brake pads, whether you're racing or not. That was something he emphasized. Like, don't mess around with cheap brake pads. I'm going to be having Chris review some brake pads. I've heard great things. I think they call, is it Brindle? I think this guy just sent me something about it. He wants me to talk to the rep. I want to put this out there, because there's a couple of oil companies that want to underwrite this format. And I'm curious, and I talked to Jeremy about Montoul, who has sent us product. I'm curious if any of you have noticed on any of these topics, brake fluid, brake pads, tire, is there anything where you've tried something on your Saab and said, oh my goodness, this is a world of difference? Is there anything? This is an open question for you guys, including Chris and Jeremy. Is there anything you really noticed that the quality and the investment was well worth it, including grade of gas, by the way? I'm curious if any comments. Open question.
I only use one oil in my cars, and it's a 1060 weight, which seems really thick, but I've had nothing but really good experience with the 1060 weight in my Saabs.
And you're using a high-end European grade synthetic, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Like a Montool or something like that.
Yep.
Chris, any comments?
I'm just trying to think. Mostly I don't, with the brake work I do is mostly I'm looking for stuff that's quiet and because I'm servicing customers' cars, and that's the big complaint. If you do a brake job and it's noisy, it squeaks or whatever. So I kind of stick with stuff that is good for the street and it's quiet and I don't have to deal with it coming back again. Mm-hmm. So when I find products that work like that, I just stick with them.
Is there any product you want to recommend by name?
No, I use a lot of Paget stuff, Hella. I use a lot of the Saab Select stuff, right from Oreo. And I have good luck with that stuff, so I just pretty much stick with it.
Okay.
Rick Foster, are you there? Did you have a question?
Hey, yeah. Well, I typed it into the chat, but I'll repeat. I've got a 2000.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, hi. Great opportunity here. I've got a 2002 95 3.0, and I just got a Tech 2, and I don't know how to use it, but I fiddled around and came across the settings showing cylinders 1 and 6 had 78 and 99 misfires, and the rest of them were okay. Is that a suggestion of the fuel injectors?
More than likely it would be the DX cassette, but that's not. I mean, that's probably not that bad actually, because you will get some misfires.
Okay, it's 150.
Even on a good Go ahead.
I can't remember. Isn't it 2 cylinders per coil pack on those cars, or are they all individual with the V6?
The V6
Sorry.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there are 1, 3, and 5, and 2, 4, and 6. 2, 4, and 6 are on the front of the engine. 1, 3, and 5 are on the back. Yeah, I mean it could be that your coil pack's starting to go, but misfires are pretty common too. I mean, a lot of times you'll have misfires and there's nothing wrong with the car.
Well.
Okay, well that's reassuring.
I've had instances on some of my race cars where on the coil pack the spark actually travels on the outside of the plug and will cause a misfire. So I have a little trick where I'll put some electrical tape on the spark plug and then put the coil pack back on, and it actually fixes it.
Yeah.
Huh. But it's not to worry about.
Those things get so hot that the rubber inside where it connects to the spark plug, it won't travel through the plug. It'll travel on the outside of the plug and cause a misfire.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So you're listening to the Saab Travel Show. We got another show coming up, by the way. Look for it on announcement from Scott. Scott here, Scott Paterson. Saabnet.com. I'm Glenn Brooks for the Saab Travel Show. I'm going to give you out my number and my email for the Swedish Gold, and any concerns or any things you want to have us bring up on our next format. And also, if you want to be in touch, I'll give both Jeremy and Chris an opportunity to give out their information as well. So if you want to call them or be in touch with them, if you're interested in the 1995 Arrow, pristine condition, rebuilt, just a remarkable car. It is a Swedish Gold car. You could call me, Glenn Brooks, at 413-345-3747. 413 area code 345-3747. I'm in Massachusetts, Eastern Standard Time. Or you can email me. And some people know me as the man that gets paid to go on vacation. I do my best to live by that Mark Twain quote, which is that real success is turning one's vocation into one's vacation. That's why I go to visit Chris up in Vermont. That's a vacation place. Beautiful.
Hey, I want to chime in before you end the show.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott. Yeah.
I did just get an email from
yes.
Saabnet.com full site members, asking me to ask this question. He says he has a problem. Maybe Chris or Jeremy, if you know, his display. All he says in his email says, "My display reads every time I start the car. It says anti-theft needs servicing." Anybody know?
Chris?
Well, usually it's the either the battery in the siren itself. I mean, depending on the year of the car, that may need to be replaced, or the siren itself. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but that's usually the thing that on the older 9.5s that causes that message.
I think you could turn that message off with the Tech 2.
Yeah, you can turn it off, but if the battery goes low, it'll automatically come back on again, or if you disconnect the battery.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. I need my email. If you guys want to email Glenn Brooks, it's Glenn, GLENN .vibrantliving, VIBRA. I used to know how to spell it too. VIBRANTLIVING @gmail.com. Glenn.vibrantliving at gmail.com. Let me know your question, what inspires you, what topics you'd like to see covered. And if you want to buy and purchase the 1995 Arrow, pristine condition, rebuilt, a lot of hours by Jeremy, Master Saab mechanic Jeremy Martin from Santa Cruz. I used to be on that marketplace. Love that marketplace. We're actually on again through our national show, which, by the way, I do a national show and I cover all kinds of things. And I do give away vacations. I get into topics like how to write your first book, how to become a public speaker, and how to live a life where you can enjoy your Saab and not get into the rat race. Another topic that's worthy of investment. Okay, Chris, how could people be in touch with you? Chris Rizzon Saab in Dorset, Vermont. How could people be in touch with you, Chris?
The best way is to call. The number is 802-325-3827.
And Chris is also on SaabNet, and he's my inside master mechanic. He works on my cars. I get the pleasure and honor of seeing Chris pretty regularly, and hopefully cracking him up now and again. Maybe not. Jeremy, how can people be in touch with you and as well?
Same way. Phone is the best.
Okay.
It's area code 831-435-9558.
Okay. So, Scott, I want to say I'm just so happy that all these people showed up, and I just feel like I want to go out and see another Saab and wave today. So I'm glad to know we're out there and we're investing in these our Swedish gold cars, and that the value is still there deeply. And it shows that when you invest and pay attention, you could have a different kind of life and a different kind of Saab. So thank you, Scott. Is there anything you want to leave people with today from SaabNet headquarters?
No, I made my two plugs: the Saab Buddy registry, which is buddy.saabnet.com, and the general bulletin board. Check out those two things. I think you'll really enjoy them. Thanks so much, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks so much. Deeply appreciate our friendship and what you're doing. Elijah, Pearce, enjoy, and thank you guys. Eager for our next community call here on the Saab and Travel Show. I'm Glenn Brooks. Chris Rizzon, Jeremy Martin, and Scott Paterson. Thank you very much for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you all you Saabers who showed up and made this questions made it a very fun chat.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.